Hello all. Thank you for tuning into the webinar to learn more about the full proposal budget template. The PPO realizes that this approach to budgeting will be different from the approach many NSF proposers have experienced, and it may not be easy to complete. We are here to help you. Completing the budget is mutually beneficial for you, the proposers, and the PPO because the process will help the PPO understand the functional elements of your budget, specifically how you are planning to spend NSF cash. Number two, this process will help your team understand the industry consortium contributions and the project components where you may need to allocate NSF cash. The budget template will also help to inform the design of the platform and make your budget as efficient as possible and help you make trade-offs between industry consortium contributions, community contributions, and NSF cash. Third, the process will provide the PPO a comprehensive picture of your proposal. If you have any questions about the full proposal budget template, please give us a shout at info@advancedwireless.org. Let's get started. This is a very different process from the familiar NSF proposal process. There are three remaining stages of the proposal process, which will require an increasing amount of detail. First, the full proposal stage requires a 5-year cumulative NSF budget following the NSF format and rules, and the 5-year functional budget, which I am explaining today. If your proposal is selected for the site visit stage, you will be asked to update or revise the 5-year cumulative budget and 5-year functional budget with quotes for all proposed expenses. If you are selected for final proposal submission, then you will be asked to submit annual NSF budgets for each of the 5 years, a corresponding functional budget, and a resource-loaded project plan with a Gantt chart and detailed tasks. You must complete 2 different budget versions. We recommend that you complete the functional budget first. You'll find instructions for the budget template on the first tab of the workbook. The second and third tabs of the workbook, the orange tabs, are the functional budget tabs. The functional budget maps the major components needed to complete your project to the dollars that are needed to complete the project. You'll notice that the budget tab of the workbook contains 3 tables: equipment, services, and other. Make sure to enter information only in the white cells and not the gray cells. The NSF budget is included in the blue tabs within the workbook. This is the budget template form that you're probably used to completing for NSF proposals. We'll chat more about the NSF budget later in the webinar. Remember to keep industry consortium contributions at or below $8 million and the NSF cash budget at or below $8 million, including indirect costs. The summary tab will provide an error message if the total proposer budget does not equal the total NSF cash budget. The PPO has removed the requirement to complete 5 annual budgets at this stage of the process. Your budget should reflect a single cumulative 5-year period. Now let's do a deep dive of the functional budget. The functional budget is the most critical exercise for identifying all of the costs to develop, deploy, and operate a platform. It is also critical in matching industry consortium contributions with your needs. Not only do we recommend that you complete the functional budget before completing the NSF budget, but we also recommend that you obtain quotes to ensure that you and the PPO understand your exact needs. For example, you may or may not need equipment service contracts, and if you don't choose to acquire equipment service contracts, then you may need to budget for equipment replacement or to budget for recurring contract or staff services to fix and maintain equipment. This functional budget will help ensure that you have sufficient funds to successfully deploy a platform. Now, let's take a look at the equipment or service tables of the functional budget. Columns A through F of the budget worksheet tab define the type, equipment, or service categories, the industry consortium providers, and the relative availability of contributions from the industry consortium. The availability column, which is column F, indicates the approximate value available from a particular consortium member. The values are NA, low, medium, and high. For example, Nokia is offering up to $3 million in total for equipment and services. They are not offering $3 million of 5G base stations plus $3 million of platform architecture and design services. Instead, you may want to budget $1 million in base stations and $2 million in architecture and design services for a total of $3 million. Let's start populating your equipment or services budget, starting with the white cells in columns G through K. If you know product names or product numbers, please add them to column G. For example, you may already know that you will need one or more Ericsson Mini-Link 6352s. If so, input Mini-Link 6352. Please indicate whether your costs are based on firm quotes or estimates. While either is fine at this stage, it is recommended that you obtain quotes to prove that your total budget is realistic and achievable. Insert the number of units estimated or quoted for the platform in column I. Insert price per unit estimated or quoted for platform at standard academic pricing in column J. Then insert the total in-kind cost estimate for equipment or service needed to support your platform design. Now, let's move on to the NSF cash budget and community resources columns. If industry consortium equipment or services are not available, then you will need to either use NSF cash to purchase equipment or use your community resources to contribute funds or equipment. If you will exceed the industry consortium total contribution, then you will need to supplement or replace your request with NSF cash budget or community resources. For example, you may have already planned to use $3 million of Nokia's equipment, but would like another $1 million of architecture and design services. You will need to request either $1 million in NSF cash budget or community resources to cover the excess over $3 million. The total column should automatically populate with the sum of the numbers provided in columns K, L, and M. You are encouraged to contact your industry consortium partners to obtain quotes. You may speak to a local or national sales representative, and you are encouraged to negotiate the best value for your proposed platform. Do not request special PAWR pricing. We will negotiate prices at the time of ordering and deployment. If you have questions about developing a new technology with a vendor, please do your best to reach to that partner and discuss what might be possible. The PPO can help connect you to partners if necessary. If your proposal is selected, we will go through an extensive matching and negotiation process to ensure that you receive the most value from our in-kind partners. For items or vendor products that are not being offered by the industry consortium, go to the rows at the bottom of the equipment section and services section. You may enter any product or service description not provided by the industry consortium and then insert the same information previously explained in each column. You should enter information only in the white cells and not the gray cells. For all rows and the other section, please enter any product or service description that you have not input in the equipment or services section. For example, you may plan to use your organization's staff to install equipment. If so, then enter the names if known, position or positions if known, and the amount estimated and select site and platform deployment from the functional cost category dropdown in column O. Or perhaps your organization plans to attend conferences to encourage research on your platform. Then any travel, workshop materials, room rental costs would be compiled and you would select outreach from the drop-down options. There are no page limitations to the spreadsheet. You may add lines at the bottom of the equipment worksheet or services worksheet as necessary. Your inputs, the budget tab, will populate and the summary tab. On the summary tab, please manually enter your indirect cost estimates, including your indirect costs plus your subawardees' indirect costs, and the summary tab in the white cell. Your goal is to keep industry consortium contributions at or below $8 million and NSF cash budget at or below $8 million, including indirect costs. The summary tab totals will turn red if you have exceeded those limits. Also, the summary tab will provide an error message if the total proposer budget does not equal the total NSF cash budget. Please describe any assumptions you have made about industry consortium contributions and community resources in your facilities, equipment, and other resources section of your proposal. The standard NSF budget forms can be found in the blue tab. Please complete one per the proposer and one for each subawardee. We recommend that you refer to the Proposal Award Policies and Procedure Guide from February 2019 for any budgetary guidance. Please note that the NSF cash budget line items may not map exactly to the functional budget line items. For example, travel in the NSF cash budget may be used to fund both outreach or training in the functional budget. Or equipment and the NSF cash budget may be the proposer's cash budget and in a subawardee cash budget, but it will be consolidated as equipment in the functional budget. Or you may either hire project management expertise, which should be reflected as salaries in the NSF cash budget, or procure a contractor, which would be reflected as consultant services in the NSF cash budget. In either case, the project management costs will be reflected as a single line item in the functional budget. That wraps up today's webinar. If you have any questions regarding the budget template, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to receiving your proposals.